All right, shit, we're recording. Welcome to Two Average Guys, the podcast. A couple average dudes talking about sports. Nothing special. We're not former players. We're not former agents. We have nothing to do with the industry. We're just fans talking about sports. I'm Sam, my co-host here.
This is my name is Espen.
Yeah. So a little bit behind why we started the podcast. So every day at work, I watch ESPN. And let me tell you, it makes me want to Vincent Van Gogh myself and cut off my ears. So I decided to start a podcast where we can talk about sports, where we can engage our viewers and do stuff along those lines. So yeah, let's get rolling, shall we? So
Yeah, and I'm just gonna add to it too. We're both sports management majors in college, and we've ever since we've known each other, we've talked about sports. So we figured
yeah,
why not? I mean, why not put our biased opinions towards the internet, and give our uncensored takes and whatnot. So yeah,
yeah, deal with that. So if you no longer want to listen to
yeah,
Stephen A. Smith or Max Kellerman, definitely listen to the podcast. So just to begin with the
yeah,
NBA, NBA playoffs happening right now. Great NBA
yeah.
playoffs. The bubble has worked out quite well, I would say the least. I think these NBA playoffs are better. What do you think? I think they're better than like past years.
Yeah, and I mean the bubble's working. Like I was skeptical about every sport coming back during COVID, but NBA, like I have to give a lot of credit to Adam Silver. Like he has really made this thing work.
Yeah, dude. Like the NBA, like for me at least, what I'm seeing is teams that don't get love, like the Suns, and I mean even the Brooklyn Nets a little bit. Like without Kyrie, they were coming in and it was just like, who gives a shit? It's the Brooklyn Nets. Like this is the same team as last year. But like Karis LeVert, like dude, kicking ass. Devin Booker, that dude's a fucking star. I'm gonna give it to him. And like on top of that, this is pure talent. This isn't, you don't have the typical home court advantage. Like if you're better, you're better, and it proves.
Yeah,
So what's your take on that?
yeah. Just I mean, going back to the home court advantage thing. I mean, you saw a couple days ago. I mean, both one seeds lost game one. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I knew Portland. I knew Portland was going to be good coming into the playoffs. Because they have such a good and they have a good experience team with Dame and CJ McCollum. And I mean, you could even throw Carmelo into the mix with that veteran leadership. But I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of series go 6, 7 games just because I mean
Yeah,
the home court
I
advantage
agree with that.
factor. It's yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. And so right now, what I want to do is I want to get your predictions, and I'm going to go down on the list, and you can tell me who you think is going to win this year's. I'll give my takes. To begin with the Nets Raptors. Raptors up 2-0 right now. What do you think?
I think we're either gonna. I think Raptors are either gonna go for a sweep or we're gonna get 5 games. I don't think the series is gonna last very long. I think
I'm gonna
Toronto's
agree
just
with that.
they're way too good of a team.
I gotta agree with that. I think the Raptors are gonna go 4-1. I think Nets are good just without Kyrie and KD. Like I don't know how far it's gonna really go. Next, Jazz Nuggets. I got Jazz in 7. I got them in 7. I think if I had to say, I would think that they're a much better team. I mean, I know Nuggets have Michael Porter Jr. They have um, the really good center, but I think that Donovan Mitchell is just he can do it.
Yeah, I could see that series going either way. I think it's definitely gonna go 6, 7 games. I'm gonna give the edge to Denver just because I think Jokic is just an absolute stud down low. Um, yeah, I think they got because don't they have Jamal Murray? They have Jamal Murray too.
They do have Jamal Murray too.
Yeah.
So far we got the Raptors, and then we're split on the Jazz Nuggets. Next is the 76ers Celtics. I have to go Celtics and sweep. I mean, I don't think the 76ers. I don't think they're gonna win a game.
I was really confident in the Sixers, and boy, they have shit the bed the first 2 games. Like they
I
have. I
mean,
mean,
Mike, just
their defense has
it's
been
rough without Ben Simmons.
horrible.
Ben
Yeah,
Simmons. I mean, I know he doesn't shoot the threes. He's still a really talented player, but I don't see them making it 5-6 games.
yeah,
So
I have to agree with you on that.
Mavs Clippers. This is my first upset. Mavs in 7. I'm a little biased. I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan. I used to be a Lakers fan. I was more of a Kobe fan. Now I'm on
But
the
then the
Mavs bandwagon with Luca. But I mean, Paul George, he had ice on his shoulder yesterday. It's not a good look. I think Mavs in 7. What's your take on that?
I haven't watched a lot of this series so far. From what I've seen though, I mean it looks pretty even. I would have to say I would just from what I've seen from the regular season though, from highlights and whatnot from the Clippers, I'm gonna have to say the Clippers are. I'm gonna say Clippers in six.
Yeah, I mean that's the one series or one of the series that I think without the NBA home court advantage, the two teams squaring up against each other, I think it's a boxing match bound to go 12 rounds, and I think that the Mavs can go in seven. Today, about I don't know 20 minutes ago, I'm watching the NBA games now, but the Heat went up 2-0 on Pacers. Pacers were hot in the bubble. T.J. Warren, Oladipo, Miles Turner. They had a lot of good stuff. Malcolm Brogdon, but I mean Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. I would go six. What's your take?
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think Eric Spoelstra. I mean, he's just a really like good, well-minded coach. Like he's been here so many times. Obviously with a different team with like LeBron and D Wade and Chris Bosh back in the day. But
Mm-hmm.
I think Jimmy incorporating Jimmy Butler with the Heat I think was such a good decision because he knows he's the star. And I think that works for them. So I
I would
think
agree with that.
I think Indiana though they're a really well-balanced team, but I just don't think they're gonna they just don't they just it just it, they don't have
They're
that
not
feel like they're
physical.
going. Yeah, and they just don't. When you've watched them, it just feels like this team's not going to go on a championship run. It's just one of those teams you
Yeah,
get that gut feeling about. Yeah,
I could agree with that. They beat up on
yeah.
the shitty teams and they play very close. Sometimes lose, sometimes win against the good teams. But that's how it is. Thunder's
What
Rockets.
I was gonna before we go to that, will there be a fight between T.J. Warren and Jimmy Butler? Will things get absolutely
Yes,
just physical
Jimmy
in this
Butler
series?
is a hothead. He
They
cannot always
they've
keep it in.
yeah
I wouldn't say he's a hothead. He's very dedicated and passionate to a team he just joined. But that's his style, I guess. That's how he's a leader. Next, Thunder Rockets. I really wanted the Thunder to win this. I thought Chris Paul over James Harden. I can't stand James Harden. He doesn't play defense. One of the reasons I can't stand him. But Rockets won the first game. Playing right now, they're up 5 about to end the first quarter. I could see the Rockets winning it. Unfortunately, I would say 5 or 6 games.
yeah I the Thunder. I mean, because or before the bubble, the Thunder. I mean, they weren't like. I mean, at one point during the season, they were outside the playoff picture, and then I mean, they had a strong comeback to get back in the playoff picture. But yeah, Houston. I mean, they've been there before. I mean, it could really be a good matchup between Houston and LA in the next round. So I'm gonna go with Houston.
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable pick. Now to the last two, number one seeds, Magic Bucks. I don't think Bucks are going to lose a game the rest of the series. I think the Magic are good. They beat the Raptors last year in the first game, but I think Bucks are going to start clicking it together. I think Giannis, as well as the rest of that team, Chris Middleton, Brooke Lopez, I think they'll all get it going, and I think they'll be able to make a good run coming up. Thoughts?
I would definitely have to agree with you. I think Bucks are my. But I said Bucks Lakers is my. I'm taking chalk, which shocking, but I think the Bucks are just they've been knocking on the door for a couple of years now. I think this is just going to be their year.
That's fair. That's fair. And then the last one,
So
obviously, I think a bigger upset than anyone else. Blazers took the first game over to Lakers. My thoughts on this: I like the Blazers here. I don't get me wrong. I'm not no longer a Lakers fan to say the least. I think with the combination of LeBron and AD, I don't think it's enough. I think that the Blazers are going to win in 7.
going Charles Barkley.
It's bold.
He said
It is
he
Charles
said
Barkley.
he brought up the broom on TNT. He said sweep. So I mean, at least you're giving the Lakers some chance. But no, I think I love Portland. I mean, I watched them in the playing game, and they're such a fun team to watch. But I just think playoff LeBron is. I mean, he is an animal. I mean,
He
he is
didn't.
getting
He
up.
didn't activate Zero Dark 30. His no Instagram, no Twitter. He didn't do it this year, which is a
Yeah,
great shame. But I, it's a close one.
yeah. I'm gonna give the edge to the Lakers just because of LeBron and AD.
And then so tonight we actually have the NBA draft lottery for the teams that didn't make it to the bubble or that weren't really good. I'm gonna let you lead this one. You're a big college basketball fan. You know more guys than I do. Um, Say the Golden State Warriors win the draft lottery tonight. Who do they select in the first pick?
I think it's. I would say right now it is probably one of the closer we've seen. Like obviously everybody knew last year Zion. He was gonna be the number one pick. But this year I would say we have 3 legitimate guys who have a chance at the number one pick with Anthony Edwards out of Georgia, LaMelo Ball, of course, from what is he, New Zealand,
The Ball
Australia?
brother.
Where is he playing? New Zealand or Australia? I always
He's
forget.
I'm pretty sure he's in Australia right now, but
Yeah.
he's been training hard. Who else?
And then we have the one-hit wonder of James Wiseman, who played like 14 minutes of college basketball this season. I think it's gonna be one
Collecting
of
that
those
Penny
three.
Hardaway money.
Yeah, collecting and then bouncing out of Memphis. I think from a lot of the projections I've seen, I think it's gonna be Anthony Edwards, just because he's a freak athlete. I didn't watch a ton of him this year at Georgia, but I just from what I've seen and what I've heard, I mean, he's a freak athlete. He could turn any NBA franchise around. But I think it really depends on who's going to get the number one pick. I could see, like, if Cleveland gets the number one pick tonight, I could definitely see them picking Anthony Edwards. Whereas Golden State, I think they could add. I think they would go like a James Wiseman to get somebody big down low.
I could definitely see that, to go with like a guy like Colin Sexton or someone like that.
Yeah.
That's it for the NBA. For the MLB, to start off with the Trevor Bauer YouTube channel and Joe Kelly cleats. So a little bit of the backstory about the YouTube channel, if you haven't heard about it, is so Trevor Bauer is currently doing a vlog on YouTube about his daily life in this COVID-19 half season, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, Scott Boras, who is a super agent, decides that he's not a big fan of the vlog. It's violating rights. It's violating like clubhouse rules, and so he wants Trevor Bauer to take it down. Bauer's not a fan of that. And he pretty much starts beef on Twitter, telling Scott Boras to call him or shut up, pretty much. I personally think that Trevor Bauer has every right to film. Also gives, the fans, the daily fans who aren't able to go to the ball games, a cool and inside view of everything that's happening. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Rob Manfred's a fucking idiot. I'm just gonna be blatantly honest. I mean, the way he has run baseball ever since he's taken over as owner. I mean, I'm not, by no means am I a baseball expert. It's not one of my top sports I follow, but from what I've seen, he's an idiot. And I just think like Trevor Bauer should be able to do whatever he wants. I mean, that's kind of just what my basic take on it.
And then leading into it, your very opinionated feelings of Rob Manfred, obviously not the best, but I'm not going to say he does or does not deserve it. Trevor Bauer continued. He wanted to wear these free Joe Kelly cleats. Obviously, we don't know what happened. Joe Kelly threw at the Astros. He was not a happy camper. They cheated, fair and square. Honestly, he should be able to wear the cleats. Rob Manfred should have handled the situation better, not taking any of the players and suspending them or doing something, whether it's for the year, only the manager. Like, I don't think that's that's like a little bit of a like piss off a little bit almost. If I'm a player, fuck it. What is he gonna do? I'm the reason this team won. So like, that's just my thoughts on it. MLB really screwed that up. Obviously, they can't make it up now, but Trevor Bauer, be able to wear your cleats. What are your thoughts on the whole?
Yeah, I mean, I loved that he made the pouty face towards the Astros dugout, and I loved everything he did. I mean, do you aim at somebody's head in baseball? I'm against it, just because I mean that's pretty dangerous. Like if you want to get him on the leg or the thigh or whatever, go for it. I mean, what I don't understand is why he got suspended for 8 games, which I know I saw it was reduced to 5. But how does he get suspended? But none of the Astros do, and
yeah,
I just don't get that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a problem, and I think the MLB really fucked that situation up. Should have fixed it. Should have suspended some people. The fact that they didn't just shows what they're letting players get away with. Really, to me, it's not a surprise or anything. So, if you're an Astros hater this season, if let's say you are allowed to be at the ball games this season, are you sitting near the Astros, their dugout, or are you going to sit near their pitchers? Because, obviously you can hackle. Next to the dugout, you can yell at them, whatever they're doing. Also, the bullpen, you can hackle them. So where are you going to sit? You're going to sit near the bullpen and hackle the pitchers? Or are you going to you're going to bang on some trash cans next to their dugout?
I don't. Oh man, I think I would go with the dugout, just because you have all the coaches there and you have the manager there. You just have more people
or
to
Dusty
heckle
Baker.
I mean, I've always liked him. He's always seemed like a good guy, but he's just been put in a tough spot. Like, I mean,
yeah, not the best job to accept. I know you wanna manage, but not necessarily the best job to accept.
I mean, I was gonna ask, are the Houston Astros maybe the most hated team in sports right now?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know a team that you could hate more. I like two Dallas teams. I hate Philadelphia teams. I hate Philadelphia sports, but I can't stand the Houston Astros right now. And if you still root for them, then you should be ashamed of yourselves. And that's a fact.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
I
just
would,
how it
yeah,
is.
yeah. It's
Now, next to the other team in Texas, or one of them, the Rangers, the Texas Rangers. What a bitch move. Let me tell you. How are you going to make someone apologize because your dumbass team and your terrible ass team gave up 7 runs plus a grand slam after that? Like, how are you going to complain and say that's unwritten rules? There's a reason people don't watch baseball. There's a reason it started to go downhill in like terms of viewership because people were born. Fernando Tatis, Ronald Acuna Jr., Juan Soto, they're bringing it back. The Rangers should have no reason to complain. Don't suck. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, the unwritten rules of baseball. I mean, they were what I saw some news outlet the other day. They were written in like what 1912, over 100 years ago. I mean, do we
Yeah,
really need to? I mean, we're in the year 2020. I mean, do we really need to stick to rules we've had since 1912?
absolutely. You can't complain. Your team gives up 11 runs. That's on you. You need to manage better. And
Play
now,
to win the game.
exactly, whoever scores the most runs, and if that just happens to be 11, then you know what? That's 11. That's on you. Don't give them up.
And also, I mean, it was a 7-run game. Crazy shit can happen in baseball. Like, I mean, I've seen teams come back from 8, 9 runs in a few innings. I mean, it can happen.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, it's not likely, but it's possible. Now to wrap
Yeah.
up the MLB, the Reds broadcaster, and a hilarious, I would say at the least, just an absolute shit show. So,
God.
drops a homophobic slur on the broadcast, goes in, starts to apologize while the Reds hit a home run. So he stops mid call, calls the home run, and
He's the
continues to apologize. I mean, that is
I mean, let's just
terrible.
get. He's in the middle of his apology, and and he showed some disrespect to my city because I mean, it was they were playing in Kansas City yesterday, which for everybody who knows, I'm a Kansas City sports fan, so just getting out there. But yeah, I mean, he dropped. I don't know if he was referring to Kansas City and dropping the hard f bomb, not like fuck, but like the hard one where you're not supposed to, the one you're not supposed to
Yeah.
say nowadays. I mean, man, that was. I mean, I watched that video, and I mean, it was. I couldn't. I don't know if I was supposed to like. I don't know if I was supposed to laugh or just like be confused or just in shock or whatnot. I mean, it was. It had everything to it.
Yeah, I don't even like that's just it's shitty funny. That's what it is. It's like shitty but funny. Um,
Yeah.
Wrapping up the MLB, going on to college football. As we know, Big Ten canceled their season. Pac-12 canceled their season. They're saying they're going to move it to the spring. FCS just eliminated. Like, goddamn, like get out of town.
There's
Um,
not no playoffs, nothing.
yeah, I mean that no one watched the FCS playoffs anyway because they were just shit. Like I don't want to watch
Unless
North
you go
Dakota
to North
State.
Dakota State or James Madison, two schools. Those are
Yeah,
the only two schools.
either
FCS.
JMU or North Dakota State. If you're not one of those
Yeah.
schools, you just don't care. There's no reason to.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
will we see players transfer? It's obviously a tough question. If you're trying to prove something, you might. But if you're a guy like Justin Fields, you're the second best quarterback in the draft round. Is there a reason to transfer and risk injury? Like, will players transfer?
I think if you're not a high draft prospect, but like you're still good enough to make like a starting spot on a team, I think you're going to see a lot of transfers in that aspect. But other than that, I think if you're a high NFL draft prospect, I think they're just gonna sit out the season and then start spring workouts and get ready for the draft next April.
Yeah, and so that leads me to like, what does this mean for the NFL? Obviously, two separate entities, but the NFL's they have the combine, they have the draft, all that's in the spring. Scouting, you go to games in the fall, you watch recordings, tapes, and obviously you have the junior seasons or you have the sophomore seasons if they're third year, are going to leave after the third year. So what does this put the NFL? Do you push everything back? What should the NFL do to kind of make sure that the season doesn't get too fucked up in a sense?
Me personally, I'm just gonna give my opinion right now. I don't think we're gonna have college football at all. I think all these conferences are buying time so that they can just like deal with this at a later time, and they just don't. I just think they've done such a horrible job. The NCAA has of how it's been run. Every conference has their own medical experts and personnel and whatnot, and they're all on different schedules. And I think if the NCAA could just like intervene and say, hey, we're gonna do this, this, and this, and just have one set schedule of stuff. And I think also spring football, that's unfair to the athletes because you're going to ask them to play 3 months of football from, let's say, March to June, and then
Mhm.
they have to get ready for practice in July and then have their season start again in late August. Like, I mean, you're just asking for an injury to happen.
Yeah, and on top of that, I think with all this getting moved to spring, that makes us ask a few questions. A, is there going to be a college football playoff? If so, are we going to see a team that no one would ever think? Are we going to see a team like Virginia Tech finally in it as a 4 seed because there's no Big Ten, because there's no Pac-12? Will we see a team like fucking Syracuse go on a goddamn run like no tomorrow? And somehow, if there is a college football playoff, what would you say? What team would you put in there as the 4 seed that's not, Alabama, LSU, uh, Big 12, you have Texas, Oklahoma. What team would you say is a really like, okay, they actually have a chance?
Um, I would I would say maybe a team like a Memphis or a UCF because they both of them have had some pretty good seasons like the last few years. If you I mean could fly under the radar the whole season. I don't know what scheduling looks like if they're just going to play only conference in that because I mean they're not a Power Five conference but there's still some decent teams in that conference like Cincinnati. I know Navy just joined a few years ago so I mean there's still a decent amount of teams in there but I mean I could definitely see one of those two teams getting in as a 4 seed.
That's fair. That's fair. And so then I guess that leads me to my next question. Will there somehow, some way, could we see a mega conference? I mean, could we see UCF and SEC come together, ACC and SEC come together, where we might see, it'd be an unfair Boston College versus Florida or Boston College going down to Death Valley and LSU. Is there a potential for that? I mean, could we? I don't think there is, but what are your
I think
thoughts?
Yeah, I think all options right now are still on the table. I think just a lot of, I think I said conference to conference. I think each university is just kind of doing their own thing right now. Like, I know here at the University of Kansas where I go, I live really close to the football field and the football facility. And I've seen, I mean, they're still working out like as we speak. I mean, they're still getting ready for their opening in late September. So, um, I think it's going to be each university. I think we're going to see there's a chance we could see mega conferences, but I think for now, if there is college football, I think we're just going to see the conference schedule.
And not to be rude, but this is the first season that Kansas is going to be relevant in a while with Les Miles coming in, and I guess second season is it first or second?
Second season, he went
Second
3-9
season.
last year.
All right, well it's a little bit better.
We have not won an away conference game in 11 years. Will this be the year? No, it will not.
So now moving on to the NFL, which I think, like I said, I don't know if college football is going to happen. I don't think it can, just with all different students and all these kids moving around, whatever. I think the NFL is a better shot if it does because you can put people in hotels. You can enforce where they go. Let's say the NFL happens to just flunk. I mean, let's say it just flunks this season. They play 3 games. There's a COVID whatever outbreak. Will Roger Goodell, will his job be on the line because of it? I mean, personally, I'm not a fan of Goodell.
Who
I
is?
just, I, I mean, obviously his job's hard. I don't like what he does with the players, in my sense. But will Roger Goodell survive as NFL commissioner if the season's a flunk?
Um, I really want to say yes, or I really want to say no. He won't survive, but I think he will, just because he's brought in so much money and revenue to the league. I think he's worth too much. And I think he's just on such like a power stool. I don't know. It's really hard to say. I really wanted to say will finally this will be the death of Roger Goodell if the NFL flunks, but I just don't think anything will affect him at this point.
And so let's say there is a COVID outbreak. Let's say 5, 6, 7 players get it on one team. In baseball, you can do a doubleheader. I mean, very easily. And so in the NFL, obviously, you play 16 games, soon to be 17 games. You can't do a doubleheader. You just cancel the game and go by win percentage. What happens if a team plays 13 games? What happens if a team plays 14 games? What happens at that point?
Excuse me. Yeah. I definitely think. I mean, I think it would probably have to go to win percentage, just because. I mean, you can't make up games midweek like baseball. Like they can do doubleheaders, and you've even seen with baseball too. They've cut down to 7 inning games, which I think is a really smart strategy, because
Yeah.
you can. I mean, it's less of a risk for players to get injured versus the 9 inning games. But with the NFL, I think it's going to be really interesting how they treat if there's an outbreak. Which, I mean, there's obviously probably going to be an outbreak with multiple teams because there's more players, more personnel, more coaches on each
Yeah.
team.
I mean, that's my thing. Like, what happens if there is an outbreak? Okay, say there is an outbreak, right? Then let's say you have that player isolate, you retest everyone. So you test everyone on Monday, okay, one outbreak, then you retest everyone on Wednesday and Friday, where it takes 4 to 5 days to show symptoms, or 3 to 4. And then they just miss that whole week of practice. They travel on Saturday and they're supposed to play. I mean, no practice at all.
Right.
Obviously, practice and during the season's a lot different. I mean, you're working on 2-minute drills, you're working on certain things, but what happens at that point? It's just, I think there's too much uncertainty. I mean, I don't know how the NFL is going to get it done. They say that they are. I think it's too risky.
Yeah, me personally, I think I really want the NFL to happen. My team just won the Super Bowl. We're defending Super Bowl champs. I love the NFL more, just about more than anything with any other sport. But I just don't see how they can pull this off. It's just, and especially without a bubble, I just think without a bubble right now with sports, it's just not going to work. You've seen.
I mean, yeah, we've seen a bubble be affected. We've seen the MLS, the NBA,
NHL. I mean, NHL. So I mean,
NHL, yes, and then obviously the NWSL, which is the Women's Soccer League, and the WNBA. That's all worked out really, really well. MLB, everyone's doing whatever. I mean, you see guys like Mike Clevenger, or it was a pitcher on the Cleveland Indians. You see him go out and go to a bar or a club or whatever, and then he brings it back, or maybe he didn't get it, but anyways, he still went out. So it creates conflict, and I don't know if the NFL can deal with that, because you're looking at 30 players on an MLB team to 53 players plus all the coaches and everyone. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with you on that.
And then lastly, the PGA, the FedEx Cup
Golf
playoffs
lovers.
this week.
Let's go.
Starts today. The FedEx Cup playoffs already started. Obviously, Rory won it last year in 2019. Justin Thomas, #1 going in this year. Golf has gotten better. A lot of the young guys coming in hot, winning tournaments left and right. Do you think that Justin Thomas is going to pull it off, or you think that someone else might?
Yeah, Justin Thomas. I mean, he's been having a really solid year. He's #1 in the world. He's 3 wins this year. He's coming in #1 in the playoffs. He's won the FedEx Cup playoffs before. I think the experience and his game is just at the right place. I think he's definitely you would have to be an idiot not to say he's the favorite. But then some of the younger guys like Colin Morikawa, who just won the PGA Championship a few weeks ago, he definitely could put up a really nice run here. But it's definitely going to be interesting, because there's always, with the FedEx Cup playoffs, it's interesting because there's only 3 events, and I mean they cut the field from 125 to 70 to 30 each week. So I think there's always a couple of guys from that like 70 to 125 range who always make a run. So I'm definitely excited for it as an avid golf fan. So yeah.
Yeah, and as some of you may know, the golf game 2K comes out tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Should be hopefully better than, I think it was EA's version. EA disappointed. And that's really it for the sports. Shifting the topic. So give me so let's say you have a good day at work. You're going to happy hour. What do you get? What are your top 3 drinks?
Uh, I do love Coke and Rum. That's definitely one of my go-to. Um, Kentucky or Moscow Mule. Those are some. I'll tell you what. Definitely give me a good Kentucky Mule. Bourbon, some ginger juice, and some lime. Just it's fantastic.
All right. And then let's say it is a bad day. You doing straight shots?
I mean, you got it. Just that, or you just like you're pounding beers left and right.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. Yeah.
Easily, if I had to guess, I would say margarita, a rum and Coke, and a beer. Bad day, it's straight shots. If you
Yeah.
hate your job and you just want to quit it, you just go home and you go to the bar, take straight shots. Just do that and makes the day better or much
Yeah. I
worse if
mean,
you take enough.
yeah, either that or yeah, whatever works for you.
That's all we got today for episode 1 of Two Average Guys. Just a couple of dudes talking about sports. Nothing special. We're not former players. We're not former agents. We have nothing to do with any sport organizations, but we're just a couple average dudes talking sports. So thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks for we're definitely gonna try and build our platform and see if we can get our name out there a little bit. I mean, every subscriber on YouTube or every listener helps.
Yeah,
you guys could leave some comments on YouTube if or whatnot, and wanted to give us a subscribe or a follow on Twitter. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Twitter is, if I remember correctly, it is T_A_G sports. So give us a follow. All the videos to what we talked about, so the Trevor Bauer video, that type of stuff will be linked below. Feel free to give it a listen, give it a view, and then, yeah, Two Average Guys.
Yeah, and I was also gonna plug my personal Twitter handle. If you guys want to follow me at Espen ESPEN _ Evanson EVENSEN 26. I mean, I post, I retweet stuff here and there and post my hot take on whatnot every so often. But I'm gonna try and build that up a little bit. So yeah, we'll definitely be doing that.
Yeah. All right. Two Average Guys. Take care.
All right, see you.